Right, so welcome to All for United. We're back as always on a Saturday, well, sometimes a Sunday. We're going to be discussing obviously the win today, a good win all round to be a Man United fan today. Ladies winning 4-0, I believe. I think that's right. So really, really good day to be fair. And you can see I've got a little bit of an extension to my name because I made an appearance on an Everton fan channel yesterday. I'll be honest, I got it completely wrong. I got the scoreline wrong. I got the team wrong. I got the lineup wrong. So I've made All for United look absolutely fantastic elsewhere across YouTube this week. So we've got Mr. Neville and Mr. Wall both attended the game today, so it's going to be great insight from them. I'm going to try and be a little bit more positive today because we actually won a game, which is a good start. So we'll go through the lineup at first because Ten Hag surprised me this week for a change. So we'll come to you, Andy. What did you make of the starting lineup? Did it surprise you? It surprised me. Were you happy with it? Were you a bit worried? Was you expecting Fernandes on the right? Because I definitely was. What was your expectation when you saw the team sheet?
So I wasn't probably surprised. I was thinking he kept, Bruno and McTominay, the false nine tactic, despite not having much of a positive effect, last weekend against City. But it was times it was probably a bit better from open play, but it was on the other hand a bit underwhelming on the other points as well. Just considering Everton are not one of the best teams in the Premier League this season, that's felt like we could have, really, really opened them up if we were playing a bit better. But yeah, I just looked at that lineup. I think Ten Hag was just trying to find a bit of consistency and, just didn't, want to change it too much. And we haven't had that much in this season because with the injuries and everything. So I just thought we did play well to a point against City, but just didn't turn out in our favour. So I just thought keeping the same players, give them the chance to go out there and do their jobs.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was a difficult one. The performance. I'm not going to go into it too much just yet, but we'll touch on it a little bit later. So, what about you, John? What did you make of the starting lineup? Was there any surprises in there for you? Did you think he would? I personally thought McTominay would come out. Was it a little bit of a shock to see him stick to the same team?
Personally, I wasn't surprised that he kept with the same lineup as he did last weekend, with the sort of lack of options that we've got at the weekend, and not having a midweek game. I thought that I didn't think there'd be really any changes at all, which is, just like you say, a bit unusual for Ten Hag. But I think with the amount of sort of youth players that are on the bench, it's I wouldn't say I was surprised at all with sticking with the same team. To be honest, I think it probably was quite sensible, really.
I thought it was a sensible decision, even though Rasmus was 50-50. I think it would have been sensible to leave him out today anyway. We were talking on the last show, and we were saying that sort of the FA Cup's the last sort of thing that we can win. We surely want to be keeping a best team for, not a best team for that, but we need to put our eggs in that basket. I prefer to see us lift a trophy this season than finish sixth and not win anything. The reason I was a little bit surprised, I genuinely thought Anthony would come back in. We'd put Rashford back up top because that formation that we played today, it's not a very attacking formation in terms of, you would understand why you would play that against City because you're trying to stifle them a little bit and you don't really want to play with that creative freedom because you're sort of worried of what they can bring. I just didn't think we'd see it for the simple fact that Everton aren't in the best of form. I think they've one win in 14. I thought we'd go for the juggler a little bit more back to the 4-3-3. However, it was a nice surprise to me because at least he's trying to implement something at the minute. I genuinely think Højlund obviously will come straight back in the formation or change straight away, but at least he's tried the same thing that worked for 10 minutes against City before we sort of went from it. So, Andy, in the stadium, it's a bit of a weird one for me because obviously I wasn't there, but it just all felt a bit flat in that first off. Just even though we'd scored two and we got a couple of breaks for you. What was it like in the stadium in the first sort of 10 minutes? Because it just really felt flat.
Kind of, yeah, it did. It was Yeah, it's like Everton's like really good games against each other. I just felt like the atmosphere wasn't as what it has been against in previous games. Against the Scouts, they were like really up for it, and it just felt like I don't know whether United or us fans are going through a bit the motions this season. It's like been ups and downs. I'm just like I'm just thinking, as we're coming towards the business end of the season, it's just like, well, we could have something riding on the season, an FA Cup run to the final, and then how far we finish up the table. It's just like I think the next few weeks are going to tell what the atmosphere is going to be like at Old Trafford. It could be on a high, or it's just going to peter out, and it's going to be, flat for the rest of the season. But yeah, I just feel like the players. I think they're trying to doing their job and trying to spark us all into life as well, which they are trying to do. But it's just it's one of those at the moment. It's just a bit weird. So don't know. Yeah, I'll put my finger on it.
What about you, John? Did you have the same sort of feeling? Did it all just feel a little bit flat today? Do you think as well? Maybe it's because of where we are in the point of the season. We are struggling to get top four. It's looking more and more like, even though we've won today, I mean that is better for us, but it is unlikely. We've got a really tough Liverpool team coming up in the cup. Do you feel like it's just a little bit flat because of where we're at this season? It's been a bit of a struggle.
I think so. Yeah, things have sort of petered out a little bit after that good run we went on. Losing to City last week and the defeat the last home game to Fulham. I think that was sort of like a real sucker punch. That was, wasn't it? So yeah, it was a bit. There wasn't a lot of encouragement and atmosphere. And Everton, the first sort of 5-10 minutes of the game, sort of looked the better team to start with. They were sort of creating the sort of more opportunities. So yeah, it was quite flat today for the most part. I agree.
I thought it was Everton. We spoke about Everton yesterday. Obviously, I was on. I can't remember what they're called. It was like Toffee Bluecast, I believe. And we was talking about yesterday. Everton really needed to turn this into a more of a physical game for me. I think it would have suited them more, and I was glad to see that they didn't do that. Also, I thought Lindelof was quite good today, left back. But we'll obviously we'll discuss the first half. 12 minutes in, we all agree it's a penalty. Stonewall. Yeah.
Yeah, at least with my angle where I saw it, I was like, that's not a penalty. I don't know what is.
You, John, you agree?
Yeah, it looked pretty clear cut. It was pretty naive sort of defending by Everton for both the penalties really. But yeah, I mean that first one, yeah, he couldn't have any complaints there at all.
I find it really interesting. Of all the defenders that you would expect to be that naive, not expect to be that naive, is Tarkowski. Of all of them, you would expect him to have the common sense not to make a tackle like that. It's just I saw a few people say that it wasn't a penalty, but he went down soft. And obviously, I've been on this channel and said we've had soft penalties like Fernandez against Wigan, and we've seen other soft plays. This for me wasn't soft at all. He just clean kicked him in the foot, stopped him from coming back inside. It just looked a nailed on penalty. Fernandez obviously steps up, dispatches it really well. I find it interesting as well because you could see Pickford shouting something to him while there was a VAR check for offside. I don't know whether you picked that up in the stadium, but there was a little VAR check for offside. And Pickford shouting Bruno, and I'm like, I would love to hear what you were saying, but he was shouting at him. It was a good penalty. So in them first 15 minutes, Andy, what did you sort of make of United's start? Not so much Everton's, but more United's start to the game. Do you think it was expected or a little bit slower than we'd want?
Probably a bit slower than we want. I'm just on Everton, even though they're near the bottom of the table. They took to the game more quickly than we did. They were charging forward, pressing from right from the kickoff, and I think they had 2 corners in the first couple of minutes as well. So it was a bit more like we were a fish out of water, and like, what are we supposed to do? And it's like trying to play our way through the press. If it's not the getting the penalty, you know, when we did, it's just more like you would have put your money on Everton scoring first, you know, and just if they took their chances in that first half, I just thought this game could have ended in a different story. But I felt like once we, you know, finally broke out of ourselves and got forward, you know, balls were being pinged to Rashford and Garnacho as well, you know. Garnacho wasted no time in running at the defence as well, you know, and he got the better of Tarkowski and just drew us the penalty as well, which we took fully advantage of, but we just didn't seem quite as in control as the first half. But on the other hand, Everton were wasteful, so if they weren't as wasteful, then, as I said, it would have been a different story that first half as well.
I've seen some of these comments and I'm saving them for a little bit later on. So bear with me on that one, because I've got a couple of questions to ask about some of the stuff that's been asked here or mentioned. So there's not really a lot to say after that in terms of we got the penalty, we got the goal. It went a little bit, not drab, but it just lacked conviction, the game as a whole. Everton weren't in the best form. We weren't in the best form. Everybody kept giving the ball away. I lost count how many times Casemiro gave the ball away today. It was quite a few in them first few minutes. I even thought Kobe Minu looked a little bit off it today in terms of he was better at getting on the ball and having a little run than he was sort of staying in position. He just looks a bit. He looks like he needs a rest, to be honest with you. I think we're putting a little bit too much pressure on him at the minute in terms of his full play. So again, we'll come to the second penalty. Rashford takes this penalty. Any issues, John, with Fernandes giving Rashford the penalty? Good idea, bad idea?
I was a little bit worried at the time. It's one of those you think you've already scored one. You think you'd be raring to take the next one, sort of thing. So it was a surprise when I saw Rashford stepping up, and obviously we know Rashford's a little bit hit and miss, shall we say, at the minute. So and he did a sort of little stuttering slow run up that he sort of did a few years ago. I was my heart was in my mouth for quite a few seconds there before he took it.
I'll be honest, I didn't see the first penalty. As in, I saw Fernandez's, but I didn't see Rashford take the penalty the first time because I genuinely had to look away. I watched Fernandez's because I thought, he's going to score, and it's not that I'm not convinced by Rashford. It's just one of them that I thought, with the way his season's gone this season, captain stepped up and give him a penalty to try and get him a goal, get him back on track. Just everything pointed to he's going to bloody miss this, isn't he? And so when it went in, I was relieved. And by the way, what a penalty! It was a brilliant penalty at the end because he sent Pickford the complete wrong way. What about you, Andy? Was you surprised that Fernandes gave the penalty up, or do you think that's good captaincy?
I know when Rooney was doing punditry for the game as well, and he was like, said that was a risky decision by Bruno to give him the penalty. I'm like, was a surprise? No, the player's got to put the ball down, and then either hit it in the back of the net. It's going to either be saved or missed. So I just thought, well, I don't know whether Bruno was doing like when we went away to Goodison, giving Rashford the chance to score as well. So I don't know whether Bruno being a bit selfish, it's like, I'll let you have it. I mean, Bruno could have had two goals, but he decided, being a captain, he's like, well, I'll give you the chance to score as well. So, but I was going to say, great work by Garnacho to, get that second penalty for us, because he literally got on the ball, drove centrally on the breakaway, and then he could have opted to, I don't think he opted not to pass as well, because there were options to him, but he looked like he was running into trouble. I thought, he's not going to even get a shot away here, but once again, he was just brought down. So got to give credit to Garnacho as well for getting us another penalty as well. And I think I read a stat, he's the first United player to win 2 penalties in a Premier League game. So he's broken a record there. So,
and the reason why we're going to come back to that, Andy, is because he possibly could have won a third. And for me, we'll come to it later, but it's an interesting topic, this one. I found arguments both for and against, and I just find it really interesting. So again, no issues with the penalty, definite penalty. John?
Yeah, no, definitely a penalty again, wasn't it? Yeah, he was
Really
sort
rash.
of it was in full flow, and he sort of like again mentioned about naive defending. Yeah, he went like flying in on him. He was, nowhere near getting the ball. So yeah, it's a blatant stonewaller, as they say.
Yeah, it was really weird because talking to Dan, another Dan on the Everton podcast, because there's Dans everywhere apparently. He was saying that how good the defense has been this season for Everton, and they've looked settled, and they've not been doing silly rash things. And even he was tweeting out today like some really silly defending from Everton, and really I thought they made the game a little bit easier for us because of the rashness in the defending, if that makes sense. So I can't really remember too much that happened in the first half of note outside of that. I wanted to just have a chat about Onana, because again, in terms of the whole game, I thought he was excellent again today. He made a really good stop. I can't remember if it was first half or second half, but he did make a really good save. I'll tell you what, there was the Bruno Fernandes free kick as well, which was good. But yeah, I wanted to just, what do you make of Onana just recently since he come back from AFCON, Andy? He's stepped up a gear.
As I say, he's been in a lot better form. I mean, obviously when he came to United, it was a bit of a concerning start. There was a few errors in high-profile games, but his recent Premier League has shown probably why we've actually signed him. Another clean sheet. And I think it brings him up second in the Golden Glove
I think
rankings this season.
Who's top?
I'm not sure. I know he's got 8 now, but I'm trying to think. Would it be? I don't know. Would it be Ed? Can't be that. If Everton lose it, I don't think it would be. It's got to be Edison or Allison, isn't it? Because Arsenal keep changing their goalkeepers week to week. So
Having a look now.
Yeah, trying to find it now.
It's got
William.
It's got to be all that. Or Allison, but let's say with Onana, so he was composed. We know where's our back line. We know.
David Raya, 9.
What?
Yeah, David Raya's got 9, Pickford's got 8, Edison's got 8, and Arna's got 8.
That doesn't seem. David Raya playing. So we don't like today, because Ramsdale had to come in because of Raya being tired because Brentford was his parent club. I just didn't realise it was Raya that got he's there leading the way. But yeah, I don't know. I'd say he was composed on it, and said the back line just struggled, to build out the back. So it was just felt like it was a solid performance from him again, and just think that's going to do his confidence a lot of good with the Liverpool game coming up next weekend as well. So it's good that he's in form. So as I said, he's the last line of defence. So he's got to be stopping the goals going in against us.
Yeah, I actually agree with Box on this point in particular. He says Onana was a little slow to release the ball at times, and Bruno was urging him to do that.
It was 1 or 2 times. I was looking. I think there's one moment. I think he did kick it long, and then it went to the left, and he was running into it.
Rashi?
Yeah, no, he was on the other side, and then I think it was one of them, and then we didn't end up getting through, and then Rashford turned around and was like, I was more free, and you could have hit it towards the right, and I was just like, there was that one moment I remember, but yeah, there was a few times where we were all like urging him, like, you can kick it long, but yeah, it's the only thing I say. Sometimes he slows it down, the game, too much. I know at some points you have to calm everything down, but sometimes you can, like when Schmeichel, if you can see an opportunity, he was like, let's get the ball moving, let's get on the attack and score.
Still definitely think he's finding his feet, and he's
yeah.
I read somewhere that it's the 6th time that Evans and Varane have started together this season. It's the 11th different centre-back partnership that he's had in front of him. So he's not had it easy. And I'm not just blaming the defence as well as I think we've still got issues in midfield. Are you happy with his performances since he came back from AFCON, John?
I definitely think there's been some signs of improvement. Yes, he's certainly seems to be, commanding his box a bit better, and his sort of saves are a bit more convincing than what they were. And it's like Andrew says, there's some of this like from goal kicks and things where the centre back's like knocking it to him, and then we're going to the full back, then it's back to the keeper again. It is very slow and risky at times, but he certainly looks a lot more the part than he did. Like you say, before the AFCON.
I genuinely struggle with that football because it's just not the Man United way. I'm not used to seeing the defenders pass it to the goalkeeper pass it to the left back back to the goalkeeper. I'm used to seeing ball into midfield, bit of a scan, knock it wide, cross comes in the box, maybe a goal, and that's how it's always been. So I'm losing a little bit of focus in terms of when things happened. I'm pretty sure the handball that I want to talk about, there was two of them. The first one where Mikalenko sort of goes for a header, he misses it, it bounces up, it hits his chest, sort of arm slash, it's all over the place. I didn't think that was a penalty. I just thought he was unlucky. He went to header, he's missed it, he's hit the floor, he's hit his arm, he's hit his belly, it's bounced to the floor. The one I really wanted to talk about, and I've got some points here. So NT again says, I mean, we also don't get penalties. We should. Rasmus getting pulled down at Arsenal at the start of the season, not being a penalty is criminal. I agree. And I genuinely think there was a point where this, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mikalenko. He slides, and he's going past the ball, and he puts his arm on the floor, and the rule would be that he's got his weight on his arm, so it's not handball. But I mean, I don't know whether it's me with really big, bright, biased red glasses on, but he didn't need to put his hand on the floor. And it very much looks on the replay that he knew that he was going past the ball. So he puts his arm down as like a blocker. I thought it was an absolute stonewall penalty. But like, did you see it in the stadium?
I was going to say, you're going, John.
It was, I saw it at the time, and I thought, like you say, his arms out. He's obviously, his body's going away from the ball. He's Garnacho's crossed it, so he's going into a dangerous area, and he's basically stopped it full length with his arm. So I thought in my view that should have been another penalty. Really, I think.
I mean, I get the rule that, like, the rule is that if you having to put your arm down because your body's on the floor and it hits it shouldn't be a penalty. But I think they should really look at it, because it looked to me as if he's going, I'm going past this. I just put my arm down. There's something it could hit, and I'm well within the rules to do that. Did you see it, Andy? Did it get a reaction in the stadium? Because it was sort of half and half.
When we all shouted handballs, and then I saw a still of it afterwards, and I was like, it reminded me back, was it 17-18 season when we played Everton at home, and then I think we were 3-0 up, and we went on the attack, and then Martial got through. The ball just slightly got ahead of him, and the Everton player slid on the floor, and exactly like that, and then the referee gave the penalty, and I was like, well, why is that not a penalty like today? And I'm just like, I thought, surely VAR is looking at that and going, because I don't think we had VAR back in 17-18, if I can't remember now, but I remember the referee on the field in that game gave it, but I thought, why not today? I'm talking, you've just done exactly the same thing, and I remember the referee, a couple of United players went over to the referee and said, he's not being checked, or I don't know whether he was just thinking. I saw the referee going like a bit like that, or more chest. I was like,
He was trying to say that it was the weight. He was trying to support his body with his arm, and that's why it's not a penalty.
That's why the referee, it's just sort of saying more of that. I was like, well,
So, and NT makes this point as well. they were trying to give us penalties all game. I felt like that. It genuinely felt like they just thought, you know what, we're going to give a load of penalties away today, because they could have given 3, and then there was a bit of grappling and stuff that they got away with. So yeah, I thought that was on point. It reminds me of, we played Arsenal a few seasons back. I think it was Sancho's running in the box, and Cedric is on his hands and knees, and he runs alongside him on his hands and knees, and Sancho crosses it, and it hits his hand, and they didn't give it then either, and they tried to say the same thing. Well, he's got his hand on the floor, he's supporting his body weight. If that's the case, what stops the defender just dropping to the floor like a press up and just getting his arm in the way? Do you know what I mean? It's supporting his weight. They definitely need to look at that. I thought it could definitely have been given as a third pen. But I think it's one of them, because it's subjective, they would never give it when they'd give 2 anyway. So maybe if it was 0-0, they might have looked at it more. But because he'd already give 2 penalties, yeah, probably not.
I was going to say, and if they had to get it, we had got another penalty, who would have taken it? I'm just thinking, could have been a different goal scorer for that penalty. So that might have been a record in itself. 3 goals, 3 penalties, and 3 different goal scorers. I don't know whether Bruno would have gone, you can have it, or Bruno or Rashford would have taken it. So that would have been interesting to see what had happened.
NT says that's the one he was talking about, where he was running on the floor. I just wanted to point this out as well, because I was quite critical of Varane recently. I said that he's not playing very well, probably should be sold. It hasn't been fantastic, but the last few games next to Evans, he has legitimately been fantastic. He's looking like the old Varane. Have you been impressed with Varane, John?
Yeah, I was very impressed with Varane and Evans today. I think I'd have probably I'd have personally given Evans the man of the match today. I thought he looked really solid, composed. He's obviously got a lot of experience now, so yeah, those 2 do seem to be performing pretty well. Like even at City last week, they looked obviously for an hour at least. They were solid, and didn't look like we were going to concede. But yeah, today I think they did a really good job, the pair of them.
Do you think, Andy? And I'm genuinely, I'm gonna ask the question: do you think Maguire struggles to get back in this defense? Because I think they're playing really well.
I'd still bring Harry Maguire back. I just think he was in such good form before he got his injury, and I'm just like, it's who you partner. Well, because when Martinez came back, I thought, I can't wait to see Maguire and Martinez together, and I thought, this is the partnership I'm looking to see and how it works. And I just thought they both just got their injuries at the wrong time. So we haven't been, having to chop and change our defence like it has been all season. I just think maybe with, I don't know how long Maguire's still out for, and we know Martinez is still, I think, still another month, maybe a bit more than that away. So I just think with Varane, he's calm as always, and and Johnny Evans, I just thought he was just class today. I just thought, and you could just see, when Everton were on the attack, could have, opened us up, and he was literally turning around to his teammates, look, just calm everything down. This is what we need to do. I'm just thinking that's the experience we need, and he's probably played more games than he thought he was going to do. He initially came in, just to train with us, and then we offered him that 1-year deal, and he's probably played 10 more games than he thought he was going to. So it was just like, but that's probably the experience on his head. So that's the moment. It's getting us through the games as well.
It's leadership. And speaking of leadership, Barry, he's not here tonight. He's left us to go and watch the women's football and have a time of his life. They won. Good luck, charm. I hope that had a cracker day, to be fair. 4-0 though. That was impressive. I'm sure a little TikTok where Barry said it'd be 4-3. So he got the number of goals scored right for us, which is pretty impressive. So evidently not a lot happened in the second half. There was a few chances, hit and miss. It's not really a huge amount to talk about in terms of the second half and game, to be honest. It was a little bit, Everton sort of accepted it was done. made a few chances here and there. I thought we played better in the first half than the second. It just sort of petered out. So I wanted to come to this that Box said, and I wanted to ask you, John. I know my opinion on this, but I want to know your opinion on this. It's the amount of times we flop counterattacks is laughable. It's like we enjoy not finishing teams off. So what do you make of that comment? Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, it's with the pace we've got wide with Garnacho and Rashford, and you can see the opportunities there. There's the space in behind, and they just either the pass is normally there, but it's just normally it's like either the winger doesn't quite make do a decent enough first touch, or they don't make the right decision once they get into the box, or there's the finish is not there at the end of it all. It's just, I think it was the same at City last week. We should have created a lot more on the break than what we did. When we were 1-up. I mean, there was a few today. I mean, there was the one where Garnacho, sort of went through and put it over when he really should have hit the target. But yeah, there's a lot of times when you think there's a really promising looking counter attack on, but it doesn't seem to materialise.
I've got to be honest, and I'm going to get pelted for this. Garnacho was annoying me today massively, and it's not because he played badly, because he didn't. He played really, really well. And I sometimes have to sit while I'm watching and go, he's only 19, he's only 19, because the criticism would be too harsh, but he could find better passes if he got his head up a little bit more. But I was honestly watching him today, I was just thinking, if this lad gets the end product of like a top footballer, he's going to be an absolute danger to the entire league. Like I thought he was absolutely fantastic, but there were situations where I thought, if he just got his head up there and played the pass a little bit quicker, he would have had 3 assists, he'd have a goal. And I can see the potential is absolutely massive. So like, what do you make of the comment in terms, in fact, I'm going to ask you this first, because I'm assuming this is directed at you, Andy, because mine's a green screen.
Mine's definitely real.
Yours is definitely real. There you go. It's definitely real.
Mine too.
So what do you make? Do you think we've been a bit wasteful on the counter attack? It can be frustrating, but what's your take on it?
I just think United, we can take control of games when required. It's just like in the second half, we did, gain more control, and but although we had to require the 2 penalties to get us into that position, which rightly was, 2 penalties awarded to us, but the second half, did have some worrying moments, Calvert-Lewin was presented with a chance to score at the back post, and, some of that cross just zipping across, and we all went just a gasp, because if Everton scored one, because I always think 2-0 is always that tricky score. If the opposition get one back, they could easily get another back, and it's always one of those as well. I just think, sometimes it's those fine, like Ten Hag's been saying, fine margins. Like these counter attacks, we've just got to be more clinical in front of our goal as well. When the chance approaches us, don't be so wasteful or you deny yourself a goal as well. And I just think, it's just we can be better in the counter attacks. Just on your point on Garnacho, I was thinking, sometimes frustrating. Got to take his age into account as well. He's only young, but I think I was reading earlier, so because technically he's in something of a bit of a barren run. He's not had a goal in like the last 6 games. With only 2 in his last 12. So you think it's not the type of foot. I'm just thinking like Anthony's rival. It's Garnacho is still in the side, even though he's not been in that goal scoring form as well. So, but he's still playing well. Got us the 2 penalties. He's causing problems for Tarkowski as well. So, but I just think when he plays on the right, that's not a natural position. Sometimes I think when he's playing on the left, I'm very excited when he's on the left, because I just think that's where I think he's better playing. But I'm just thinking Marcus is there, so it's swings around about as well. But it's just reading, you know, when he's on the right, he likes to cut in, and I'm just thinking, might be a bit of Anthony as well, so he likes to do that as well. And I think, actually, when he came on as well, he literally had switched over to the left side at one point. I thought, God, finally you can use your left foot to cross the ball in.
The left side.
He don't think he did, if I remember
No.
rightly, but yeah, it's just strong, you know, 9 years old, his output's, you know, going to improve, but you know, but almost every game he's playing in, he's given the opposition defense, especially the fullbacks, something to think about. So, you know, we'll see how he develops in the years to come.
Yeah, so Box has made a really good point, and I agree with this. Would be the same with Kobe Minor as well. He's agreeing with somebody else in the chat. Garnacho wouldn't have been playing week in, week out, but he's found himself in the first 11. And we've highlighted it a couple of times in terms of, is that 24 games in a row that he's played now for the club, 24 starts. So he's playing a lot of football for a 19-year-old, and I said it before. There's no way he's knocking on the door and saying, "Oh, I'm a bit jaded. I need a little bit of a rest." Because I think his form has suffered for the last few games. He's probably looked a bit tired. Maybe could have done with a rest. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm not criticizing Garnacho at all. I thought he's fantastic today. Honestly, I sat there at times going, "He's only 19. Like, stop it. Like, in 2 years' time, this would be a lot better. His output's going to be better. His decision making is going to be better. He needs that time on the football pitch." So, John, we're going to move on to another player today, and not just today. To be fair, the last 4 or 5 weeks, or since he's come back into the team, I personally don't think he's been fantastic, but we'll see. NT says, I was more frustrated with Casemiro in the first half than Garnacho. I know what you mean about him being frustrated, but he's a kid. Agreed. But Casemiro was winding me up with the wall, winding me up the wall at points. So what did you make of Casemiro's performance today? Because I would say for the first 10 minutes, he must have gave the ball away 10 times. Like, every time he touched it. I do think he got better as the game went on, but in that first half, he was a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, first, it was shocking, really, how many times, you know, like I say, he gave the ball straight to Everton in our, defensive third. The crowd was picking up on it a lot as well. They were getting very frustrated with it, but yeah, he did seem to get a bit of a grip as the game went on, thankfully. So yeah, he eventually ended up playing a reasonable game, and didn't get a yellow card today either as well, which was quite a nice change for him as well.
That referee was reluctant to give out yellows today. He did a couple of tackles where I thought another referee might have wanted a word with him because he was a little bit late a couple of times. But I think it was Onana, their Onana, not our Onana. He did a couple of breakaway fouls. I think he got booked in the end, but I thought the ref was a little bit reluctant with his cards. So, like I say, there's not much else we can really say about the game. Obviously, everyone's happy with the 2-0 win. Andy, does it give you confidence going into the Liverpool game? Are you still a little bit weary? Obviously, win's a win. We'll take it all day long. What is it? Put you in a good place?
I was just going to say, well, yeah, it's good to be back in the win column. After the previous two games as well. So yeah, it's just I say today, we picked up 3 points, but probably didn't really get out like, I don't know, first or second gear. Everton, if they were really at it, they could have punished us. But I'm just thinking, we need to up the levels for next weekend. So it is a bit of a concern. And if we play like that today, then, next week against Liverpool, then it's not looking good that we'll reach the semi-finals of the FA Cup. So, but let's say it wasn't. As somebody said, was it comfortable? Probably anything but it's just, it's one of those. It's just like the players should be up for it next week. It's Liverpool at home. It's just like it's it's the biggest game in English football. It's like always think at this, when the fixtures come out for the season, that's the one I'm looking for. I'm just thinking, when are we playing our rivals? I'm just like, are we at home first, away first? Plus, it's the FA Cup, and I kind of want to stop Jurgen Klopp from taking all the trophies with him at the end of the season. So I was thinking, we just derail their party. Well, he's leaving party a little bit. It'd be just nice to get a little bit one over him next week. But yeah, just a bit of a concern, say in the win column, but performance is still lacking at times.
I don't know about everybody else, but I'm looking for you two boys to be causing a ruckus next week. I want to see some serious chanting going off. I'm hoping it's not as flat as it was today in terms of it's up to the players, obviously, to get you on your toes, and I hope they do.
That's what it was. Some people said, tackling, like if it's 50-50 guy, you don't have to go recklessly and just be like, you can be near to the line, but just like
Johnny Evans cleaning out Salah in the first 4 minutes, winning all of the ball, taking all of the man, that'll be perfect. So, what about you, John? I'll tell you why I'm worried. I'm worried because of the sheer volume of shots that we conceded on goal. It's got to be a massive worry with a team like Liverpool coming up. We can't afford to be giving them so many shots at goal. The quality that they possess, we will 100% be punished.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? If we sort of give away the openings and shooting opportunities to that we have been doing to the likes of Liverpool, then we are going to be, it is going to cause us some severe problems. So we're going to have to keep it really, really tight next week as much as possible. I know it makes it a bit awkward with it being a cup game, so you sort of have got to go for it a bit more. But it's it's not ideal. And I think, ironically, both our next two home games are against Liverpool, although they are about 3 weeks apart. We do play them at the same time in the league about 3 weeks after, so it's going to be an interesting next couple of visits to Old Trafford, that's for sure.
So we've got 2 chances to stick a nail in the coffin in terms of trophies. That's in the cup and in the league. So, I mean, the players shouldn't need anything else really to get up for it. That should be more than enough. Just want to take a moment to say, please like and subscribe. We always notice a difference when we've got more likes on the video in the first so many minutes, etc. So that's really, really helpful for us. There's not much else to say on the game. So I just wanted to sort of move the conversation along for the last sort of quarter of the show. I've found some of what Ten Hag said in the last week leading up to this game and some of his interviews recently not fantastic. So I wanted to get, obviously, everybody in the comment section, let me know what you think of Ten Hag at the minute. Is there a tactics issue? Is it all a player issue? Is it all an injury issue? Like, what's the biggest problem for Ten Hag at the minute? And do we see him A, making it to the end of the season, and B, does he stay beyond the end of the season? So I'm going to come to you first, Andy. I'll tell you what one of my issues have been this week, and you'll have to let me know whether you can see where I'm coming from or whether I'm being a bit harsh. I've just found that stuff he said surrounding the injuries, if I was a squad player for him, I would find it frustrating because he keeps repeating that if we had these players back, we would be doing a lot better. And the level's not good enough when these players are injured. So if I'm Ahmad on that bench, I'm hearing my manager say every other week that I'm not good enough, and the reason we're not doing very well is because the other player is injured, even though I don't seem to get a kick of the ball. So I found it a little bit like he seems to be alienating his squad a little bit outside his regular players, which I'll be honest, I accused him of this last season. He seems to stick to his 11. But, like, do you think he's been overly harsh with the squad players? And do you think that he makes the end of the season? And do you think he makes beyond the end of the season?
Just thinking on that. I know this week, because they mentioned in the press conference, about Luke Shaw and Malacia, their injuries, and he said the medical department told him they would be back playing January. That's why Reguilon could leave, because he wasn't going to get much game time once them two were back. Well, Luke Shaw came back for a few games and then was injured again. And Malacia, he's broken. Well, come back in training, broke down again, and then now has been told we ain't seen him for the rest of the season. It's just like when Ten Hag's been told one thing and then that's happened. It's like, well, what's going on in the medical department to say, well, I'm being given this information, I can proceed ahead with the team, and like I can let a lone player leave now. I'm just like, he has got a point on the injury front, but he can only use that so much of it. An excuse, yes, results. It's like anything, it's a results-based business. If we're not getting the results, then things are starting to get looked at more in focus. And yeah, and obviously there's been the off-the-field things, with the takeover and everything else. And a number of changes are now happening, so everything's it's all under a microscope. So do I think he'll make it to the end of the season? Yes. Beyond next, I just remember watching, the overlap, the fan debate, and I think Gary Neville said the doubleheader against Liverpool. It's the key games. If we don't win those two games, it's the atmosphere around Old Trafford is just going to go so flat, and and with the season, they'll still have a month of the season to go. We're just like, well, we'll just be, as I said earlier, go through the motions of like, well, we're turning up to watch a game, but we know we've got nothing left to play for. So it's like, I know mathematically we still reach top four, but it's a struggle. It's a mountain to climb. But do I see Villa dropping, losing like 3 or 4 games? No, because Emery's got them well drilled, and I'm just thinking you could probably catch Tottenham, but top 4 is just looking out of our reach. So as I say, Ten Hag, Sir Jim and his team, going to be looking at him. So, but I feel like they should give him the chance to prove. Once they start making all their changes, give him another season, see what he can do under their regime. Because I remember Sir Jim saying when he first came, he said, "Oh, we want the best in class." Well, if all the rumours believe, these managers coming like Graham Potter and others, I'm like, well, sorry, Ten Hag has won the league in Holland and won cup, so he's proven he's won. He's been there and done it. So no offense to Graham Potter, I think he might have. Where did he used to manage? I can't remember where it was. Sweden, Norway, somewhere like that, a Scandinavian country. So I think he has once. So sorry, Graham, right? You have won some, so he has proven he can. But I'm just thinking other managers, have been linked with as well. I'm just like, we want the best in class. So Jim's talking it. So put all the right people in place. See what Ten Hag can do under your regime. So we'll see at the end of the. Well, we'll see how the next 3 weeks pan out. That's going to be
crucial. It's a crucial 3 week. Like, yeah. So we've got a couple of comments come in. We've got Twilumba. Welcome to Twilumba. I've seen your comments. Up and down as always. FS favourites, simple. He can't develop players. Maino and Garnacho are pure self-made. Don't give him credit. I think it's a little bit harsh, but I think there is sometimes players have to want to make it themselves, and players like Garnacho and Maino definitely are in that bracket. They are. It was going to be talent because they had a lot of self-drive, but it's still on Ten Hag to give them a chance. And honestly, he seems like a very hard man to please in terms of getting chances. So, like, he makes players really work for it to get a chance at the shirt. And in one aspect, that's really fantastic. And in another one, it's really frustrating because of the injury situation.
Could have done that as well. He'd make you work for that shirt. It's like you put everything on the line.
I agree with that to a point.
Yeah.
But I can remember Sir Alex Ferguson used to use the League Cup as this kid experiment. Chris Eagles would start. Lee Martin. There were loads of players that would get quite a few games.
Later years with me, he did because we won it a good few times. It was just like, I think was it the early 2000 early, it was treated like that, a second-rate competition. But now,
well, I think it was his way of resting the squad a little bit and seeing what he had, if he had anything coming through.
And if there was a big game coming up, then
yeah, a little bit of rotation was key.
He was thinking along those lines.
Yeah, and then boxers, and this is my opinion on it, like down to a T. He genuinely sounds nuts sometimes when he comes in these press conferences and he says, "Oh, we played really well. We just lost 2-1 to Fulham. Played really well." Did we? What did I watch? And I get he's got to back his team and stuff, but sometimes he does come across a little bit like, I don't understand what I've seen here. This is another question here. Why did we have 2 goalkeepers on the bench? One of them was 6th choice keeper, me. We just don't have a lot on the bench at the minute, to be honest. Graham Potter was, I want to say, Osterruns. So I'm pretty sure he got them promoted. And then he won the team.
I couldn't think who the team was. He had been at abroad as well. So yeah, I'm just looking it up now. Where are they?
So what about you? Sweden. Yeah, Sweden. I think it was Sweden. What about you, John? Trying to think. Do you see? I know we've got an important few weeks coming up. Do you see Ten Hag lasting to the end of the season? And if so, it's more of a, do you think that he will last past the season? It's not sort of what you want, but it's what you think Ineos would do.
I think it'll definitely be for the rest of the season. Yeah, I mean, we've only got 10 league games left now, I think, so it's too late to, make a change now and expect it to do anything positive. I think he's not done himself any favors in some respects with his, how he's, sort of isolated certain squad players and like the left back situation. I think that was very silly to let Reguilon go back to Spurs when we know what sort of injury record that Luke Shaw's got, and obviously Malacia's been injured all that time as well. So yeah, he's not sort of helped himself in that regard, just in terms of the back four. He has obviously we've had terrible bad luck in regards to the injuries, but you wonder if maybe some of that's down to the sort of schedule that they've got, the training schedule they've got, or something like that. I mean, it's not like we're playing sort of 2 games every week like we were last season. We've had very few midweek games, certainly since after Christmas. So yeah, it does seem a bit bizarre how we've ended up with all these injuries. But I think if we do end up outside the top 4, which is highly, highly likely looking at it now, then I think that they will look at changing him for somebody else next season.
Do you think it falls on the top 4 finish?
Well, that's always sort of what it's come down to, hasn't it? I mean, we were, Moyes didn't even last the season when we were, the first year we were 8th, whether we 7th, 8th, and then Van Gaal got the sack
when we
ended up 5th that year, even though we, won the FA Cup in 2016. So it does seem to be that if you don't get in those Champions League spots, then you're in big trouble.
Yeah, really frustrating, because as much as Ten Hag does frustrate me at times, I'm no different with any other manager, and I genuinely hope that he not only lasts to the end of the season, that some of these players go before he does, because we were talking about the Solskjaer interview last time, and what I saw from the Solskjaer interview really made me sit back and go, you know what, I'm sort of doing to F what people did to Solskjaer, and it was such a wrong decision. Some of these players should have gone first. And I think it's sort of the same now. Some of these players really do have to go out of this changing room before another manager does. We've got some comments about managers, which we'll come to before the end of the show. Bath Time has said the only opportunity to replace him would be in the 2-week international break in March. in Ineos do seem to move quickly. I genuinely can't see him being replaced unless NT is correct here. If we get cooked, battered, fried, and munched by the Scousers, I'm talking 5 or 6-0. His time is up. So I could agree that if something disastrous did happen in the 2 Liverpool fixtures coming up, there may be a point where they go, enough's enough, fresh start. But I think he'll make it to the end of the season minimum. Now, I genuinely believe this as well. So I'm not just saying this to sort of put a bit of positivity out there. I think if he could get us to an FA Cup final, win the FA Cup, I think he would get given the season next season, because even if he could just start showing something on the pitch that we like Postecoglou is at Spurs, no matter how many injuries they've had, the football's the same. Even though inevitably, when you lose your best players, that your win record drops off the face of the earth. It does happen. But if we could still see that what he's trying to do a little bit more between now and the end of the season, I feel like Ineos are the kind of people that say, look, he has got a plan here. We can see what he's doing. This is sort of what we want to see next season with a full team and some more replacements for him. And he would get the chance. Now, I would prefer that. We have to stop sacking managers, no matter which way you look at it. If Ineos do sack him and bring someone else in, I'll back it, because hopefully doing what's right for the club. But we have got to stop getting halfway through builds and just sacking a manager. If Fergie would have come in this day and age, he would have been sacked before him building the teams that he did and winning the trophies that he did. So, question for you, Andy, then. If not Potter, Southgate?
No.
Why not?
I think John knows Mark as well, fellow season ticket holder, and he said when Southgate, he said he wouldn't be coming to Old Trafford. He was like, say you've done all right for England. I'm just thinking you haven't managed in club football for now how many years? And I'm just thinking, I'm trying to remember the last club he was at. Well, I know he managed Middlesbrough. I'm just trying to think, is that his last?
Oh, it can't be Middlesbrough. Get
Google.
Google. It can't be Middlesbrough.
I remember seeing managing there. That's the only club I remember him before England. That's the only one I remember him being at. And just thinking,
was it the under-21s?
Yes, he was at the under-21s. Then progressed. So he can't have gone from. Can he? Am I wrong on that? Did he go somewhere else after Middlesbrough?
No, you are absolutely spot on. The last club that he managed,
2009,
Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
So
and then he was the academy manager, the under-21s manager, and then now the England manager.
I'm just saying, he hasn't been in club football for 15 years.
15 years.
I'm like to say international football is very different to club football. So, like I say, you've done well for England, but I feel like that's more of a high risk, taking on Southgate. But I say this going to come the end of the season. There's a lot of teams out there going to be looking for new, like Liverpool, even Bayern Munich as well. But teams abroad. So it's just going to say there's going to be a lot of big clubs looking for managers. So United may be the case as well. But I just feel like, as I said, give Ten Hag the chance under this regime once it's got their feet under the table and like, these are the changes we're making. This is what we're going to do to help you.
So I've got one for you, John. I don't know whether this was directed at me or thing. I'm technically not in. I'm fully on the fence. I don't know what. Like 1 week I want him gone. The next week I want him to stay. The next week it's the players. I am the biggest on the fence all over the job. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know. 5 minutes after the game, I hate the man. 2 hours after the game, I love the man. 4 days after the game, I still don't know where I'm at again. But for you, Nev, what would it take for you to say, like, enough's enough? Would it be a couple of really bad results against Liverpool? Would it be a complete drop-off? Or are you just set that he's going to stay till the end of the season and then we see where it goes?
I said earlier, I definitely think he's set till the end of the season. I think the only thing, like I say, if we did take 2 if we took 2 really big beatings off Liverpool in the next month, then maybe that could trigger some sort of reaction. But personally, obviously, if we ended up, I would like to give him one more season. I think if we showed, in these last 10 games that, we can compete with the likes of Liverpool, and we've still got Arsenal to play as well at the end of the season. So if we could get a decent run in, and even if we do end up sort of 5th, 6th, then I'd still be willing to give him one more season. I think you've really 3 years is you'd say for somebody like that, something we got as 3rd place and a trophy last season, you'd think he'd get a minimum of sort of another couple of seasons out, sort of thing. But we all know how cruel and ruthless football is these days for these managers. So it may not be enough.
And we've got a quote here from NT. You agree, Dan? Brilliant. I always look when people agree. But I also feel Ineos might just want their own man. If the season ends catastrophically, we need to stick with the manager at some point for the sake of the club and our sanity. 100% agree with that. That is literally spot on. We've just somehow ticked over an hour already. So just have one more question then, based on what I'm seeing in the comments. People are saying Inzaghi's Inter have play decent football, but is it not true, Andy, that there's just nobody out there at the minute in terms of managers? We see Potter, we see Southgate, we see the guy from Sporting, who I'm not even going to attempt to say his name. We see De Zerbi, who I'm not a huge fan of. Yes, he plays good attacking football, but they also get cut to shreds by a lot of teams if they've got a decent tactical manager. There's just not that standout name that you would normally expect Man United to go and get. They seem to be, I don't even know what the word is for them, but they're not top level managers, are they? They could be top.
Best in class.
Yeah, but best in class.
What I call him? I'm just thinking Thomas Tuchel. He's going to be out of a job at the end of the season. But
would you want him?
No. I want to stick with Ten Hag. That's
yeah.
I remember you asking me on the show. God, I'm trying to remember when it was. Who would I turn on first, the players or the manager? I'm just thinking. I'm more like, as I said, I turn on because you're the ones. Yes, Ten Hag is instructing them, and you can control so much what happens on the pitch, but the players have got to do their bit as well, and they have to take some accountability and control as well. Just like with the 2 games against Liverpool, hopefully we don't get,
Mullered.
or battered. I'm just like, hopefully we come out of those with 2 wins. I'll be more than stoked for that. I'm just like,
hey, I'll go on record, Andy. If we come out of both of those games with two wins, right, I'm 10 arguing for the next 5 years.
I don't know. I think I might have said it in the show before. It's almost like this season we should have sort of had last season in his first season. The expectation was, with Ten Hag, coming and start. We know it's going to be a few ups and downs, but I think because we did better than we expected, an expectation has risen this season, and it's not gone the way we thought it would. And now it's like we've taken steps back, and I just feel like it's been the reverse of what we should have been. We should have had not so good season last season, and then had a better time this season. But I just feel like, as I said, give him more times. I think he deserves that opportunity under the new Sejim in the team. But as I say, they might have other ideas. I say everything's under a microscope at the minute, and they're going to have to start making decisions and making them very quickly because time goes by so quick. Other football clubs, have been getting ahead of us. We've got to get ahead of them. We've got to be the ones leading the way, which we used to. So,
well, fingers crossed. Klopp goes and Liverpool turn to shit. That'd be fantastic because that we can catch up a little bit. But then if City get hit with 115 charges at the same time, then that's another team that's like, oh, that would be nice too.
Well, even if they don't, how long is Guardiola going to stay for now? Because
from what he said this week, forever.
Because I think it's after next season.
Next season's contract runs out, I think.
So I don't know whether that would make it 10 years, or was it another couple more years and they'll have done 10 years? It was 2016 he arrived, wasn't it, if I remember rightly? So does he do a couple of more years and then say, I've done 10 years here, I go out the door, and then, I don't know, would he manage anywhere else, or go, manage, an international team like Spain? I don't know. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting time with a manager merry-go-round. So what are our rivals Liverpool going to be doing? Other teams, yeah, be interesting to see.
So we've got Twillumber with an excellent point here, and I'm going to defend myself a little bit here, because I have said all season, if Ten Hag dropped every player that he didn't want and he was going to sell, and just played kids, and we had a system, I'd give him as long as he wanted, because at least we're getting rid of the trash that not trash, but the players that he doesn't want, he doesn't rate, and he's doing things his way. So I would be quite happy if it's going to sound mental this, but if a Potter came in and a Potter got chance and got to do what he wanted to do, I'd give him 3 or 4 years, as long as the football wasn't drab and we looked okay.
I was going to say, he was at Chelsea, but he went at Chelsea. What did he get as a contract? Was it 5 years, 6? I'm just thinking, and you got,
Chelsea 100%.
A lot of money thrown
yeah.
Okay.
He did. That doesn't suit Potter, though, for me. Potter's not a kind of manager that he's not a checkbook manager. He actually improves players. And I think when he went to Brighton, you saw not average players, but March was absolutely fantastic under Potter as well. And you saw these lower down players playing well above themselves. And then when he went to Chelsea, he had all this money chucked at him. And probably, to be fair as well, not just money, I think players were just thrown at him. Right, you're having him, figure it out. And I think Potter just didn't know what was going on. So, like Nev, we've got a list of managers here. We've got Potter at 5-2. Would you take Potter over Ten Hag?
Not with how he went on at Chelsea. No.
Would you take Tuchel over Ten Hag?
Probably not. No.
So Amorim is the Sporting Lisbon manager, I believe, and it's the one I couldn't pronounce. So I wouldn't take him. Would you take Inzaghi over Ten Hag? And this is the point I'm trying to make. Even when you get to the list and you see it in front of you, I wouldn't take many of these over giving Ten Hag the chance past the end of the season. And I wanted to make one more shout. And Dan, the Everton fan, made this shout. Do you know who's a really good manager? A really good manager, and doesn't get the credit he deserves? O'Neill. And
Gary O'Neill.
I literally said, if you put Gary O'Neill in charge of Man United tomorrow, let's say tomorrow, they sack Ten Hag, they put Gary O'Neill in charge, Twitter would absolutely explode. And this is Twillumber's point, because people would be absolutely stunned. He's not a top name. He's not proven. He's not. Do you know what I mean? And I think some of these managers sometimes are rated higher than they are because they've got fantastic names like Zidane. Zidane was fantastic for Madrid. Inzaghi, good name. Do you know what I mean? De Zerbi's got a good name. Gary O'Neill sounds like a guy that you go to the pub with. And he don't sound like a football manager. But for Wolves, he's been absolutely fantastic. So I would like to see a surprise come the end of the season. Maybe in us keep Ten Hag. If they don't keep Ten Hag on, sorry, I wouldn't mind to see a random name chucked out there that maybe isn't from the elite level because they're not available. The only thing that I'm concerned about is you see that Klopp's leaving Liverpool and they've moved really quickly. It looks like Michael Edwards is going back as sporting director, really good at his job. It looks like they're eyeing up Xabi Alonso to be the next manager. It looks like they're moving quickly on that. And even if they're not, it looks like Real Madrid are eyeing up certain. Everybody else seems to be moving quite quickly. and Ineos have sort of kept it in the background, if that makes sense. Now, Box, I would absolutely love this. Ruud van Nistelrooy, 66-1. Just so we can train Hoyland for a little bit. That would be fantastic. We'd have goals galore forever. So I think we're going to call it quits there. 110 minutes, which is not bad. It's gone really rapid. Did you want to make any final points, Andy?
As I say, a win's a win today, and just say next week is an important game in the FA Cup. So it would be nice to get one over on Liverpool and get to the semi-finals. Say another trip to Wembley, and hopefully try and go all the way and reach the final as well. Because last season didn't work out in the way we hoped, and I'm just thinking we'd like to get back. Like say finish the season with a trophy. I mean, as you said earlier, top four is slightly out of our reach. So would we get it? I'd say who knows, but yeah, it's just say back in the win column, but still things to work on. So hopefully we see it over the next 10 games, as John said. We see improvements.
What we need tomorrow is Villa and Spurs to kick the absolute shite out of each other.
A draw.
And a draw.
Yeah.
Couple of sending offs, couple of injuries, a draw. That'd be nice. That'll put me in a good mood. What about you, John? Any final words on the game? Looking forward to next week?
It was clean sheet was a positive today, that's for sure. There's obviously, we should be scoring, more goals really, or certainly from open play against Everton. But the team's looking a bit more solid now. So cup game next week, anything could happen. Hopefully, it'll be a raucous atmosphere, and if we get, like Andrew says, if we pull off a win, get into the semi-final, then anything could happen from there, and then we could end up chance of an FA Cup again, and it might just galvanise us for the last few league games.
I hope so. I hope the players can just give literally everything for this FA Cup run for Ten Hag, because he deserves it. Like, he deserves some of these players to step up for him a little bit more. And fingers crossed we can do that. Can I just say I hate the fact that the semi-finals are at Wembley. They should be like Villa Park and Old Trafford, and they shouldn't be Wembley. It's just my opinion, but it shouldn't be Wembley. So literally just at the end, if you could please like and subscribe, it honestly helps so much. I have to sit and look at all the analytics at the end, so that would help me. It makes my job less hard. Obviously, we've been all for United. I just love doing this show. I've got to be honest. It's fantastic. So fingers crossed. We'll have a preview coming up. I can't remember any of the days. I've got them written down, but they will be all on the Twitter at some point. I'm sure Barry will be back next week in all his holy grail of hosting duties, which will be a relief for me. So, yeah, we'll look forward to next week. Massive thank you to everybody in the chat. Bath Time Box, NT, Twilumber. There's been quite a few of you having respectful conversations, which is always enjoyable. It's just good to watch. So we'll end it there, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks a lot. See you guys.
See you later.